the show about, for those of you who are just first tuning in, it's about that we are one energy, we are one tribe, we are entrepreneurs. That's who we are. So there's no distinction, your age, your sex, if you're female or male, your ethnicity, wherever you're from. We're all one, literally. You know, we're all trying to make it. And what I love about this in the show is that, you know, pretty much talking about the stories behind how did we get started, the struggles. And I know that was one of the things that when I would hear people's stories, that's what would change me. And I'm like, well, if they went through that, then I think I can make it. So that's why I think this show.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
I think the chances are good.
I think, yeah, definitely.
What does our audience think? Do you think the show? I think she'll be.
Yeah? All right, cool. Okay. Well, thank you so much. I'm here with a special guest. You already know. And with his mask, me and a damn mosquito bite.
Yep.
But
starting out strong.
Yes. Thank you so much, Justin.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here, you know, and taking the time
Absolutely.
to
It's
be
an
with
honor.
us in the show. Yes.
Yep, risking our lives out here for our viewers. We love you guys.
Yes, that's how much love
we got going on here. But yeah, thank you so much for having me. It's an honor, and I know you you just started this show, and I saw your first video, and it looks really great, and wanted to support it. I'm very, very grateful to be here with you.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate the support.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for being here. So let's talk about you.
Right.
Where are you from, Justin?
So to be very technical, I was born in Boston, Massachusetts, but we moved when I was 2. So I'm actually really from Chicago. I lived in Chicago my entire life. Chi-town. And mean streets of Chicago. No, I'm not from the mean streets part, but there are some mean streets there.
There's a little bit of mean street in
I got a little mean street in me, but I was not from those streets. And yeah, so I moved down to Orlando 6 years ago and really love it. I think Orlando is awesome.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome. So you were, how long ago did you come to Orlando?
So 6 years ago.
6 years ago, you said.
6
All
years
right.
ago. Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about Boston then and Chi-town. How was it? How was it living there? I know it's cold. I mean,
yeah, it was cold. Yep, that part of that is definitely true. It was great. I mean, but honestly, Chicago's amazing. I mean, the people are amazing, and you know, sports is a big thing. The restaurants are amazing.
Yeah.
There's so much flavor and culture to the
Bulls.
city. So Chicago Bulls, grew up watching Michael Jordan. I got to see him play a couple times, which was great. You know, we grew up playing, you know, basketball in the backyard, in the alleys, and at the park with the other kids. They would come and would kind of challenge each other. So, you know, good childhood. I had a pretty normal childhood, and it was really great to grow up in those areas.
Good. Well, what made you move to Orlando? That's a huge change. That's like way up north.
Yeah.
So what was it that made you come here?
So my parents actually moved down here before me.
Okay.
My dad started working at Nemours, the hospital in Lake Nona, which Lake Nona didn't exist that long ago. Yes. And he kind of opened up that hospital, and then I loved it when I would come down and visit here, and so I kind of once I was done with school, which took me a little longer, I came down here kind of intending it to be more of a short-term thing, just to be near them in the beginning, and then I ended up really loving it, and I'm still here, and
all right,
still
strong.
Yep, still strong.
So you said that you finished school. What did you go to school for?
For advertising.
Oh wow!
Advertising.
Hey, I didn't know that. That is pretty interesting.
Yep, went for advertising.
Nice. All right, that's very huge. I think that's one of the industries that, you know, definitely does not die out. We always need advertising in any kind of business, you know, that there is. So that's awesome. That's a great career.
Thank you so much.
So, yeah. So when you got here 6 years ago, your parents moved here, and you're like, okay, I think I want a life here, and you finished school. So then what did you start doing when you were here in Orlando 6 years ago?
So I started off in the restaurant business, which was tough for me. I've been through a lot of things health-wise, and when I got here to Orlando, those were things that I was still struggling with, and the restaurant scene, at least here, can be pretty rough. You know, some people that are...
I've been in that industry too.
Yeah, coming from some pretty rough pasts, and can be kind of like, I kind of explain it like, you know, the little kids on the playground where they all want to fight each other.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the adult version of that playground.
Fight each other for no reason.
Yeah. It's so that was a little bit rough, but I eventually started working at Enterprise, rent a car, and that's what I did before real estate actually. And that's where I kind of learned sales, or where I started to learn it, and I hated sales at first with a passion, but I kind of started to learn an appreciation for it and really get into it, and then from there I kind of got into real estate.
Now that you said you hate sales, why did you hate sales? What was it that you hated about that word sales, or the description, or the work of sales? What is it?
Sure. So good question. And this is, I don't know, we can take this a number of different topics of however it adds the most value to your millions of listeners out there. Because we love you guys, and that's why we're here to add value. But I could talk about sales is something that I'm really, really passionate about. So I used to think that sales is, you know, you're trying to trick somebody. You know, you're trying to get somebody to do something that they don't want to do. And there's a lot of kind of deception and kind of shiftiness about it. And I really didn't like that because, you know, if something wasn't the best thing for that customer, I wouldn't want them to have it. And not only that, but I was terrible at it. So I didn't really know, okay, how the heck do I get this person to do this? And they're not doing it. And my managers are yelling at me. Yeah. So I read this book, and this is a shout out to Bob Berg. I've actually spoken with him on social media, so he'll probably remember me. I've said before, but Endless Referrals is a book that really, really changed me because it made me see sales in a totally different way. What Bob Berg basically says in this book is he talks about how really the people who are crushing it the most in sales are the people who actually have the highest integrity level and who are the best people, just their morals, their honesty, they're adding value to others, and that it's really this relationship-based thing, and that the people who are crushing it the most, that's the way they're doing it. And I never really knew that or thought about that way. And so
that's a totally different perspective.
Yeah. And so I started studying that book, and I started reading more and more of like, okay, so, you know, I tested it out.
What's the name of the book? I'm sorry, so maybe our viewers can actually I would love to read it as well.
Sure. It's called Endless Referrals by Bob Berg. It's a really good book. And so I kind of thought, okay, so, you know, at Enterprise or for rental car, that type of sales is very, very fast paced. Like you meet the person, do you want this coverage? Do you want this coverage? Do you want this upgraded car? Okay, and then next person. And so it's kind of difficult to develop that relationship. And so I thought, okay, so if I can implement these things that Bob Berg is saying about high integrity, you know, high relationship base in something that's so fast, then I could probably implement it even better in something that gives me a little more time and is more relationship-based sales. And so when I got to the airport at Enterprise, that location is the #1 location in the entire world for sales for them. And Enterprise is a $20 billion company. So we're talking about a massive amount of money coming in for them from this location. When I got there, I was the most bottom on the entire list of all of us that went in there. And by the time I left, I was #2 on the entire list for sales. Thank you. And so it was because I was trying to follow this template of what Bob Berg was talking about, of this honesty, transparency, relationship sales. And that's kind of what started to get me into real estate was, okay, so if I can implement this in this fast pace, you know, I could probably do it even better in something with, you know, a little bit bigger purchase. Maybe, so.
Nice. Well, that's what we're going to get into now, because the show is about love, game, and money. So love pretty much, yes, most definitely, very essential. So love, you know, it's very broad. It's such a, you know, big word for a lot of things. So right now, you know, how did you find that love? And I think we kind of got a little bit about it, right? You started falling in love, I would say, with the fact of like, with the word of, you know, sales. Like it's different. I'm falling in love with the process now because I'm seeing in a different perspective. So that's what I want to talk about, which that's what you were getting into when you got into real estate. So you found this different perspective about sales. So you started like loving that process, and you went, you know, top 2. That's amazing.
Thank you.
And so
get that dirt off my shoulder. Can you help me? I think I still got some there. Thank you.
Brush it off.
Bro, brush it off. It's getting awfully dusty in here.
So that's awesome. So talk a little bit more in depth about that love. So finding, that's what it is, right? How do you find? There's a lot of people, I know I've questioned myself. when I'm like, well, what do I want to do? I know I used to do a lot of different, positions and where I was. I used to work for the hospital for 10 years. And I loved it. I loved the people. I loved everything. But then I'm like, what am I really passionate about? What do I really love? And, you got into a field that you really didn't know. You're like, I don't like this. I don't like, what it is.
Yeah.
But your perspective changed.
Yeah.
And that's how you found love. So let's go into that. So how did you find real estate, and how did that become something that you loved and became your passion?
Sure. So I think something that Brian Tracy says that I really love, and for those of you that don't know him, look up Brian Tracy. He's amazing. Success teacher, sales teacher, business.
Shout out.
Lots of shout outs in this. Maybe some of these people will contact me back. That'd be pretty amazing. Once we get, our millions of views here.
Yes.
But something that Brian Tracy says is that, you don't have to know your entire path, but you'll always know whatever the next step is. And so for me, when I was at Enterprise, I felt like, okay, I know that the next step here is I want to try something bigger where I can control my time more and try a bigger ticket item, a higher ticket item like homes. And so I got into real estate. Originally did not do well, like many people who originally get into real estate. Even those of us that do well, it's not easy. Don't let those people tell you, oh yeah, I just want to make a bunch of money and do nothing. No. That's not how it works. So, started off with Keller Williams, was there for 6 or 7 months, lost all my money, didn't sell anything.
Why do you think that was? Because remember, first you changed the perspective of what sales was. Real estate is sales. So what made you not, progress in that? What happened? Did you lose your passion, your love, or what happened there? So,
and at this point, it wasn't really like a love or a passion, but it was definitely an interest in a way that I could kind of build my life on my own terms. But the lead generation part killed me, which is what kills everybody. And I finally learned to do the expired calls, and I learned to handle the objections and make the appointments. But by that time, I had a lot of debt, lost all my money, owed my parents money. And so to kind of answer your question, I got into David Weekley, which was new home sales, selling for a builder, and then to KB Home. And this is where I got a lot more kind of fascinated with sales, because for those of you who don't know, it's a little bit like timeshare in the structure, where if you're in new home sales, then you're sitting in your office and somebody comes in and they don't want to talk to you, and they're like, we're just gonna go look at the models, and they kind of like try to go by you like you're really not there, and they kind of try to put on like their little invisibility cloak, and they hope that you don't see them even though you just walked right.
Right.
And so and then they kind of want to go and look, and they want to eliminate you, and they want to go look at other stuff because that's normal human behavior. They're trying to look for a home, and salespeople can be scary because a lot of them are not so good. But I became very fascinated in, okay, so what is it that happens between me being here, somebody walking in the door, and they don't want to talk to me, and spending $300,000 in Sorry guys, she's a little bit popular. But yeah, so what is it that happens there? And I became very interested in how do I help them? How do I go from here to connecting with them and bringing them to that solution? So I really started reading a ton of books and studying body language and studying all these different things to figure out, what is it that makes people say yes or say no to something? And it's really, really fascinating. So that's where I kind of got a little bit more into kind of this world of persuasion, influence, sales. What is it that is happening there? It's pretty interesting.
Awesome.
So,
all right. So now, right, we had a really nice conversation before doing this video, and I found out a couple of the things that I didn't know about him that he was doing in his business. So then now, okay, you did real estate for how long? You've done it now?
A little over 3 years.
Over 3 years. And you did, again, same thing as, Enterprise. Started from bottom,
now
I don't know
here.
what I'm doing, now we're here.
Now we're here, making this the proper version. Yes. Make sure you can understand the way we're saying.
So, now that we're here.
Now we're here. The white person, we're here.
So then again, you did great. I know I met Justin when I was in, was it Groveland?
Yep.
Yeah, Groveland. I brought a
shout out
client.
to Groveland.
Groveland. Yeah, I love Groveland. It's very nice.
Yeah.
It's very It has a lot of green areas.
A lot of groves and a lot of land.
Yes.
Hence Grove land.
I love it. So it's nice. Yes, hence Grove. So, you know, when I met him, I'm like, he had this certain energy, and I'm like, you know, but very, very, it's very rare to find people that has that kind of nice energy, and also, you know, being, the energy that I got from him was just very honest and just very smooth. I don't know how to explain, like a very nice energy.
Yeah, that's
like you can actually talk to somebody.
Typically people define me that way, like he's so smooth.
Yeah, you're smooth. Smooth operator.
Thank you. It's a good compliment, Ellen.
Yeah, so, you know, when I met him, like, okay, you know, we helped this young lady that was looking for a house, and then after that we just kept in contact. So I knew that he was doing real estate, and then all of a sudden I saw I'm leaving the, you know, this.
You saw my announcements.
Yeah, I saw your announcements.
My PSAs.
Flash. And I'm like, okay, what's going on? So, you know, we followed each other on Facebook, you know, hit likes and stuff that, you know, we've kind of supported each other in our likes and things that we posted. So, then all of a sudden, you know, you said that you were transitioning, you were making this change, you were leaving, you know, KB Homes and you were doing something. That to me was like, I'm like, okay, I want to know.
Yeah.
What are you doing now? Because I love it when people grow. Like, you know, when they're in a place and then all of a sudden, like, I'm doing this now. I love growth because that's what we should be doing. That's what we are. We're growth. And I think I spoke about, you know, a video of what I was talking about me, my little story, that I think we get to a point where we get stuck. Do you feel like in that, why you transitioned to what you're going to tell us what you're doing now, do you feel like you were stuck? Like, you know, or, well, we kind of spoke about that, that you're stuck, you're like, how else can I grow more? What else can I do? Or how did you find this passion of what you wanted, what you're doing now? And when did it start? Did it start like after real estate, or you've always wanted to be that? And I'm not saying what it is because I want him to talk about it.
Yeah, sure. So I think that you want to get this thing maybe out of it.
It's fine. Okay. I think it'll go away.
I'm just going to go like this.
They won't see it, I think.
Sorry about that, guys. She's popular.
Sorry.
Cut her some slack. Cut her some slack here. But I mean, again, honestly, going back to the thing with Brian Tracy, you know, if you keep trying to get more and more clarity on where you want to go, it's not that you're going to know all the steps, but you will know the next step. And so just to give you an example of what I mean by that, one of my written goals by the end of last year was I really, really wanted to go to Barcelona. And not really like I really wanted to go, like I was going to freaking go, period. And Tony Robbins, if you don't know who Tony Robbins is, I'm almost tempted to say turn this off and go listen to him, but listen to the end of this and then go listen to him.
Amazing guy.
But he talks a lot about shoulds versus musts, and so I made it a must of like we only get our things that we have to have in life, not the things that we would like to have. And so I had to go to Barcelona before the end of the year. It was something that I was like gonna do no matter what. And so I went, and it was incredible, and I can always, you know, talk forever about that. But I got back, and I, you know, got back to the builder I was working for.
What did you love about Barcelona? I haven't been. I've been one of those, I should go to Barcelona.
Oh, yeah. You're falling in that should category.
But now I'm in the, I need to, I want to, because...
So I have a lot of great memories from there. Probably my best memory, maybe, even though it's hard to say, is, so I'm a big car person. I love cars. And I got to drive a brand new Lamborghini Huracan drop top through the mountains of Spain.
No way.
Through the mountains of Barcelona. And I do have videos of that.
Okay.
Yep. I do have videos of that. But that was just kind of like a peak experience for me because I was in my dream car and kind of my dream place, dream vacation,
the mountains, the breeze.
Yeah, so you know, it was really an incredible trip, and I got back and I just started thinking a lot about how there's a lot of people out there who are kind of really living life on their own terms and figuring out some way to have some form of an online business or some sort of business where they can work remotely. And I was really, really interested by that, really fascinated by that. And so I got back, sorry about that, guys. And so I got back to the US, got back to my work, and I had so much fun and felt so fulfilled in that experience that I didn't want to stay in this situation where I'm working for someone else. I have 5 to 10 days a year that I can have off if it's approved. And I love my company, and there's nothing bad I have to say. It's just that I was feeling a little claustrophobic with that, and of just being in my cubicle. And
you're ready to grow. I feel like that's what it is, because I know before that, I'm sure you felt fine. You're like, wow, I like this momentum. I think it's growth. I think you got to a point where I guess we're stuck. That's what I meant. Like, you feel stuck. And I feel like, and what I learned from that in my experience, I'm sure you did as well, which is what you're saying, is that when you feel stuck, it's not that it's a bad thing. Mm-hmm. It's like, okay, I think up to this point, I have this growth, so I need to grow some more. There's another level I need to go to, and it's okay. I know it's scary because leaving your comfort zone, something that you already know, right? When you first started, you didn't know what you were doing. You were doing good, and then you got the hang of it, and now it's like, I'm gonna leave this like comfortability, this comfort zone. Yeah. So that must have been tough. So
this is something that I really want to share actually. If you get nothing else out of this, even though you should be getting a lot because, you know. But something that I really wanted to share is, and I shared this on a podcast just a day or two ago, is I think a lot of entrepreneurs, and I know a lot of what your show is about, is kind of about our journeys and how we can kind of help and support each other. I think that a lot of people want to know, you know, how do I know when is the right time to kind of move past that discomfort, like you're talking about?
That's a very big question that everybody has.
Yeah, when is the, you know, everybody has probably at some point thought about starting their own business or, you know, something that is kind of way past their comfort zone that they thought about but haven't done yet. And that's always kind of the $1 million question of, okay, so what does that mean? At what point is the right time? And I think that a lot of people see a lot of risk in that and a lot of fear in that of, okay, well, yeah, I could do this, but I don't know what I'm doing, and what if I fail, and what if I lose all my money and my time, and what if I'm just back to zero or even behind zero? Right. And so I think not only in our professional lives, but really in our personal lives as well, it's anytime there's a lot to gain, there's also the embarrassment or failure that I think we all struggle with. So what helped me to get through it, just to kind of share a little tidbit story that I hope can be valuable, is one day I was done working out in my gym complex, and I went up to the top floor of our complex, and I filmed this video on Instagram called Invisible Risk. And maybe you saw it, I'm not sure, but what I basically said in this video is that we all see the risk of putting ourselves out there and doing something and potentially failing, but I think for whatever reason, it seems like we all have a little bit of like a blind spot. Human beings, I think we have certain blind spots, and we don't always perceive the risk of staying where we are. So for example, let's say that I'm working at this builder and, you know, it's making really good money and I'm fulfilled in a lot of ways, but if it's not the direction that I want to go, or for you, for our listeners, if it's not the place that you want to be, and if you continue on that path, then not only is that also risky, but you're actually guaranteed to fail. And so this becomes a very important concept, because instead of just seeing the possible failure of putting yourself out there and not making it happen, there's kind of like this invisible risk or this hidden failure of, okay, well, what if I stay here and do nothing? And so I think a lot of people think, I'm just going to stay here where it's safe, and at least that way I'm okay. But what they may not see is like, well, what if you being safe and staying here is guaranteeing your failure, and what if that actually becomes more risky than that risk itself? And so that's
awesome you said that.
And so that's really kind of how it started to affect me. And so I made this video, and then within about 10 or 15 minutes, I got back down to my apartment complex, and I thought, man, you know, like, it is risky for me to stay. You know, it's more risky for me to stay than to go.
Like, I need to
it hit me like my own words of what I said. And so for the listeners who want to know, is it like, if this is something you should do, should you leave, should you go make your own thing, should you not? I think that the best way that you'll be able to tell is to really look at both sides, and when the pain of being where you're at and the potential pain of staying there starts to outweigh the pain of you staying where you are, I think then that's when you're gonna really feel this, be compelled of like, yeah, you know,
like a little relief, like, okay, I think I'm making the right decision.
Yeah, like you're actually going to the safer bet to go for it.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
It does, and I'm glad you said it, and the way you put it, it's just better than I would have even explained it. I love the invisible risk. I never thought of that. Yeah. I remember that I know that when I felt 3 years before I resigned the corporate world, I made a decision. I'm like, hey, I want to do this, right? I want to do this. What can I do? But I felt so scared. And I think, like I said, when I felt stuck in a sense. And I think what was telling me or pushing me, I felt like the universe was pushing me, like that invisible risk. I didn't even think of that word, and I love it, is when I felt like I wasn't really, you know, when you're there and you love it, you're passionate, you're cool, you give like 100% or more. I felt like I wasn't giving 100% already. Even like just waking up dreading, like, oh my God, I gotta wake up.
Yeah.
And then I wouldn't even do my numbers right, which there you had to do, you know, numbers weekly and monthly.
Yeah.
So that I think was my invisible risk moment that I saw that, okay, if I, it's awesome. I'm so blown. I love it. I love it.
Thank you.
That I felt like, oh my gosh, I really am not putting 100%. And I felt like the universe was pushing me towards, okay, you're ready for the next level. I was so scared.
Yeah.
And I know at a point I'm like, okay, if I continue like this, I'm not going to perform. I'm not performing as I should and I need to. And if I continue like this, I'm going to either get fired or I'm not going to, you know, this position's not going to be for me. So I think that was the risk.
You started to see risk.
Invisible, like, okay, if you stay at a place you don't really want to, that you are just ready to move to the next level. You want to do these things on your own. You really be honest. Like you said, being honest with yourself, that invisible risk, and saying, okay, what is that risk? Could be like not performing 100%, like being dreadful, like now having headaches, now having like a bad attitude. So versus just, if I take this risk of what I really want to do, you know, it's more risky staying. You know, it could be toxic. I guess, in a way.
And just to add on to that, of kind of like this same concept, but to make it a little even more intense. I think another risky thing we do is, and I shared this in the podcast the other day, but I just want to share it again because it's something that really helps me day to day in like business choices and personal life choices to kind of live the most full life possible. Is, let's just say that we're age 40. We're younger than that, but just to...
I'm almost. I'm 36. How old are you?
I'm 32.
Righty.
So close, yet so far.
I'll be 37 in November.
Yeah, me too. I think we've gone over this. What's your birthday again?
28.
Yeah, on the 24th.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this conversation sounds familiar. Yeah, Sagittarius. I don't know what that means, but people tell me I'm a Sagittarius. But you know, let's just say we're 40 to take a number. And let's say that the average lifespan is like 80, to just taking easy numbers. And so I think a really common dangerous mistake in our thought patterns that we make is we think, okay, so I have until 80, so I've got these 40 years, so I'm going to operate and plan my life within these 40 years. And so right now I'm here and I'm going to kind of make my decision. Sorry about that, guys. But, you know, I've got this additional amount of time, and so, you know, I've got time, I'm flexible. But what's so dangerous about this, or the invisible risk, is, you know, there's a lot of entrepreneurs out there that are very successful that say to grind and go so intensely and keep pushing, and, you know, later you can kind of enjoy, you know, but if you really want it, you have to grind, and that's it. And I think, honestly, what I say to that is a little bit different. So my background of my adversity is health adversity. And so I see life as very, very fragile. And so the way that I live my life, guys, I'm not calculating, okay, I have 40 years, so I can just chop it up in this way. I'm more trying to calculate on, like, if I died in 1 year, if I died in 1 month, or 1 day, or 1 hour, or 10 seconds, like, am I always ready? You know, am I always going all out towards all my goals? That I'm ready to go at any moment and still be fulfilled and still feel at peace with that. And so, so what I would say of how we can kind of all apply this to our own life is, you know, don't put off your goals. You know, live with a sense of urgency. Don't calculate on having these 40 more years that you might not have, because what if you waste 10 or 15 of them, you know, this plan you have to start enjoying it in 15 or 20 years, but then you die in the 10 or 15 years. And so I would just really, really encourage people, yes, it's good to grind and push yourself and all these things, and it's important. Hard work is important for success, but really make sure you're working hard on all of the parts of yourself and doing it in a way where you can really be fulfilled, that if at any moment, that moment was your last moment, that you could still say, you know what, I was ready to go at this moment because I was going for it. You know, and if we're always going for it, at all times, then I think it's impossible to fail, because even if you die before you were to meet the goal you wanted, you were still going for it, and so it wasn't a failure. And so that's what I would say, just with that same kind of topic of the invisible risk, is just understand that there's a lot of risk involved in living your life in such a way that you're calculating on time you might not have. So please only calculate on what you do have and live with that urgency of, wow, I'm alive right now, so let me go for it right now.
Yes, I love it. Woo!
Yeah.
That was, you gotta take it in.
It's getting hot in here. Should have turn on the fan.
I know, right? The sprinklers are about to turn on.
The sprinklers. The fire station's gonna start pulling up.
Absolutely love what you said. So,
thank you.
Invisible risk. So either you feel the risk of, oh my gosh, I want to take this step because I don't want, I feel like I need to grow. And also, not just think of that, think of the risk of not doing it, without taking that step. And also, not living that moment, like you're saying, living the fulfillment.
Not having the time that you maybe are calculating.
Right.
So, that's dangerous.
I think, that comes with, that's why I remember when I was in the corporate world, and I have nothing against it. I think that's great. I think like in anything, like, like we were in elementary. We cannot be in elementary all our years. Now then we go to middle school, then we go to high school, then we go to college. Kind of like that level sense, so you guys can understand. You cannot stay stuck in one thing. So, like, I think corporate and that timely and all that stuff before, I remember when I graduated in 2002, whoop, whoop, to my 2002 graduate, Boone High School.
Sorry, you look at me like I'm supposed to join you, like, no, I'm sorry, I'm not Boone High School, but yeah.
And not 2002 either.
And I'm not 2002 either, but I'm 2006.
All right,
that's not that far away.
All right, that was like college for me.
Shut up.
But what was I saying? So
you might not have as much time as you.
Right. So what I'm saying is that in the corporate, that's what they teach us. First back in 2002, what I was saying is that you're supposed to have a degree in order to get like the job. Now it's different. Now you can have the job or that that business if you just go for it and just develop your skills. I think we have been kind of like, I say this is how we put restrictions in ourselves or times and like, okay, we have to do this, we have to, a certain time, or I think that is one of the things that is part of fear, like, okay, being cautious of why doing it now, not doing it later, the years. So I kind of got off the subject in a sense. I was trying to say, just that is a fear, a part of fear why we don't move forward to the next level. Yeah. Like you were saying, like just what they've taught us in a sense of, be precautious. You have to wait and be safe till you're 40. I remember that's like when I was 65 is that when I'm going to retire and then enjoy this beautiful life on the beach. And I made a decision. When you're 64,
Yeah, like, what do you do?
I don't want to be in like the nice car, like in a trip or something at that age.
Like put your walker there to like hop into your Lamborghini.
Wait a minute.
Now put my walker in my Lamborghini.
Nothing wrong with that. Let me tell you, people at that age now, they're very young. Now the 60s is the new 40s.
True.
I'm telling you, it's totally.
That's 90,
I'm in my 30s and I look like I'm in my 20s.
90 is the new 50.
Yes.
I don't know about that.
Right. I don't know, but honestly, people are like they're more young and more youthful. So, all right. So getting back to the love, right? You found that love, you found that passion, you found what things to get your fears out from, and then I think those are moments when you're like, because I've had those moments when I record this and I listen to myself and I'm like, oh my God, did I really say that? I think it's an epiphany. I think it's just beauty. It's the universe telling us those beautiful words. And then when you said you listened to that, you're like, oh my gosh, like I need to have that invisible risk. I need to it hits you. Yeah. That's what I meant. So that was love. So now let's talk about the next thing, which is money. What does money mean to you? What is the definition of money? I think money, a lot of people have many definitions, a bad thing about it and a good thing. So what is your definition of money? And how has it been good or bad in your journey? So
just to finish up real quick, the love part.
Yes.
So the love part for me, so I guess I'm passionate about a lot of things. I mean, we all are because we're human beings. I think for some reason we think we're supposed to have this one passion, but most of us have more than one. So I am very, very passionate about business and sales and persuasion, and can definitely I'm doing coaching in business. But I think one of the ways that I can also add the most value in addition to that, so I started my own company on January 1st, and my own company is JustAether. And so I'm still doing real estate. I still have a real estate referral business, so that's something I can still help with. And Gigi's in real estate as well, her own business too, which she's great too. But I'm getting into speaking and coaching, so life coaching, business coaching, coaching for families struggling with somebody with mental health, because those are a lot of things that I've been through that I can help with. Is kind of like an area of expertise. So speaking and coaching is really kind of the route that I'm going now, and to tie into kind of the love and just connecting all of those dots to finish that. I really think that this is where I can add the most value. I founded my company JustAether because I believe that life is so short and so fragile and so amazing, and that we should live it all out. And I think one of the saddest things is to have people get to the end of their life and realize that they didn't go for it, that they didn't live it, that they didn't maybe know what the moment really felt like and what it felt to live in the moment. And so, so the purpose of me founding this company is I really want to be able to inspire others to live whatever that dream is for them, and then really be able to give them the coaching, the consulting, the tools to make that happen, to make that real for them, so that whatever that perfect, amazing, results-based life is, you know, that I can help to make that real. And so that's really my love right now. And I am doing business coaching also, and I'm super passionate about sales and body language and all these things.
Where can they reach you for that? I think there's a lot of people, especially now, and like I was talking to him before we did this video, a lot of people are going through a lot of things right now. Like, you know, they lost their jobs, they've been laid off, or their hours have been cut, and they're like, what do I do now? Like, what can I get into? And, you know, we have all these skills and all these talents, and that's the part where, like, you know, I think he'll be perfect to tell you how to bring that out. Or, you know, this is an emotional roller coaster in a sense. Like, you know, it's unexpected what's going on. But, you know, it's great to have people like you that can kind of, like, get us out of that mindset and help us and redirect us again. So where can they reach you? Because I think this is amazing, you know, that what you're doing and your passion. And beautiful about it is that, you know, he's not just, okay, this is a book that he read, or this is something that, you know, he studied or anything. It's actually real life. So he's just out of his experience, and that's what I love beautiful about it.
And
it's
studying.
His experience. And then, of course, experience, but studying it. But experience is the most beautiful thing. You can actually tell somebody and have that empathy and know what they're going through, and be able to transmit all that, you know, that what they need, you know, advice. So where can they reach you for this?
Yeah, absolutely. So maybe the best way is my phone number, 407-967-839. But now I gotta start from the beginning. 407-967-8391. You know how it pops up on the screen? I feel like I'm supposed to be like pointing to the screen.
Wherever it pops up.
Yeah, wherever it pops up. My email is justin@justaether.xyz. So justin@JustAether.xyz. And I'm still, a lot of this is very new for me, but I'm putting together lots of different services for, like I said, life coaching, business coaching, health and mental health kind of consulting coaching for families that have been through intense times with that. So those are a lot of things I'm working on, and getting into speaking as well. And I think that those are the ways that I can use what I'm doing to help others as much as possible. My YouTube would be a great place to look, because that's where I'm putting a lot of the things that I would talk about, or that I think I can hopefully help others with. And that's JustAether TV, which is JustAether TV. And there's different playlists. There's a playlist for life coaching where you can just see all the stuff for free. You know, don't have to pay for any of this. It's just to kind of see what I would talk about, and just trying to always think of a way of how can I add as much value as possible to others. So that would be a great resource if you would like to look. So
yes, please go into his YouTube. I mean, he has amazing posts.
Thank you.
Know that when, like I said, when I first met him, I didn't even know like this is something that he was doing.
It wasn't at that time. Like, this is very new. This is very new.
That's awesome.
But exciting also.
Yes, it definitely is. So how did the name come up? I think you spoke a little bit about how did the name come up with a name? Was it like you dreamt it? I don't know. Like, that's a really interesting name.
Thank you. So, you know, when I was first starting of thinking that I was wanting to have my own company, I was thinking, okay, so what companies do I look up to? What branding do I look up to that I can maybe have some sort of inspiration from? And you know, maybe I'm kind of generic, but like Apple and Nike and these companies that we all kind of are attracted to their branding and really evoke an emotion. And so Nike, as you may know, as many people may know of our listeners, that he's the Greek, or he or she, not sure, he maybe, is the Greek god of victory. And so I thought, okay, that's pretty cool. So let me look online and see a list of all the Greek gods to see if there's anything that jumps out to me that maybe I could use, some kind of playing off of their way of approaching that. And there is a Greek god called Ether. And Ether is the god of the upper air. Like it's called like the air that the gods breathe, like up in like the stratosphere. And so I thought, man, that's so cool, because I feel like that's the level that we should be living at. That we should be living all out at that level. And so that's really what I was going for. Now, I said this the other day on the other podcast I was on, is that, you know, like many people, when you go to kind of formalize your company with the state and make it an LLC, you know, the name doesn't exist, which was true for me as well. Ether didn't exist. There's like 30 companies named Ether. So I was having a cigar with my friend one day, and he was like, you know, what about JustAether? Like Justin and Ether. And I also like it because like JustAether, like the only life that I'm interested in living is the most amazing life that I can possibly have. And then at least for the different coaching, consulting, and speaking, that's the life that I'm interested in hopefully helping others to be able to have as well. And it's going to be different for everybody, right? So what I might want for myself might be different for our listeners, but whatever it is that would be their ideal, the most amazing version, that's the only thing that I would really be interested in helping them to have.
I love it. I know, like, as you were speaking, my mom was like, all I felt was like high voltage, high frequency, high level, high energy. That's what I felt in that name. So that's really beautiful. That transmits like a lot, and I think that's what we need right now. You know, that energy, because it's not just those words, it's what comes out of you, and that's what you're going to be transmitting to a lot of people. That's beautiful. I love it.
Thank you so much.
So
money. I didn't mean to.
No, I actually wanted.
I wanted to finish that.
No, I was going to go back to it, but I love it. I love that you went ahead and spoke about, you know, that your passion, your love, what you do now. It's beautiful, and it's awesome how your journey started. So I know a lot of listeners, that's definitely going to help them, because they're like, well, I feel like some people are like, oh my God, I've done these. I changed from this position to this position, or this job to this job, or business to this business. It's okay. You know, we've all done it. Look where you started, and then you're like, I'm going to do real estate, and then totally 360 degrees, something else. But at the end of the day, it's still what's inside of him, his passion. What he want to do is just help people, you know, and bring the most out of them, and helping them in any kind of way. This is still helping. And I mean,
my love, like, if I could only say it in one way, my love is like life. Like I love the fact that I'm alive. You know, like the fact that I'm alive, guys, is a massive miracle. Like, I could have been dead from so many different things. I could be dying in a hospital right now. I could be in jail right now. I could not be alive right now. And so I'm passionate about life and experiencing it as intensely and amazingly as possible to whatever my most amazing version is, and helping people to do that. But something I would love to say on this note of love, but it really is the same for money, and I think all of our topics that are entrepreneur or personal life related, is, guys, this might sound really, really silly, but if you want to get where you want to be, then you have to know where you want to be is. And so I use the example of Google Maps, and I have a YouTube video on this about clarity. But, you know, if you put in Google Maps that hotel or that restaurant, you know, or that city or that town, Google Maps doesn't know what you mean. But Google Maps is very powerful. I mean, it can take you pretty much anywhere in the world you want to go, but you do have to put an exact starting location of where are you now, and exactly where you want to go. And so I think one of the most difficult things about success of any kind, whether personal, like romantic, family, being great at a hobby, money, you know, whatever it is, one of the hardest parts is just saying, okay, well, what would success even look like to me? Like, if everything was perfect, what would that look like? And so to everybody that would listen to this, I would just say that, you know, having clarity on what you really want. I think a lot of people, I think a common misconception is that, you know, you just come out of the womb and you know you want to be a doctor, you know you want to be a lawyer, like, you know, and life is, you know, there are very rare examples where people just do know right away. But I would say for the rest of us guys, including for myself, and maybe I guess you can let me know for you also if it's true or not, but having a lot of clarity and creating the life you want is a lot like creating the body you want. If you go and you do, you know, 30 crunches 3 days in a row, it's not gonna matter, you know, but if you really, really work on it every day for weeks and months, your body is gonna transform. And so it's the same for clarity. If you just ask yourself one time, what would my life look like if it was perfect in every way? It's not really like all gonna come to you and you're just gonna have this beatific vision, you know? But if you're constantly on a daily or weekly basis asking yourself, okay, what would my life look like if it was perfect? If my job was perfect, what would that look like? If my romance life or my family life was perfect, what would that look like? And we really have to keep building that dream the same, and that clarity the same way that we build our body, where it happens over time and it's constantly tweaked and regulated. So I can tell you, for me, you know, when I first started my company, I didn't know exactly how it's going to look at all, you know, but I'm always asking myself, okay, how is it that I want my life to look? And guys, if we don't know that, there's a lot of quotes out there like this, but if we don't know that, someone else is going to decide that for us.
Very
you
true.
know, so one of the hardest parts is just asking yourself, you know, and it's hard because a lot of times when we answer that question, I think we answer it in a way of like, oh, well,
what's the right way
within what's possible,
right?
You know, like if you ask somebody how much money you want to make, like, oh, I want to make 6 figures, like, okay, is that like $100,000? Do you want to make that because you think that's the max of what's possible for you, or do you think that's really just the max that you want? And so really ask yourself, what would my life look like if everything was perfect and it was impossible to fail? That you could have anything, because then it really stretches your mind and it forces you to see things that you might not think are possible now, but anything that was ever created in real life was first created in an image in your mind. It was first created in your mind. So, you know, pushing yourself the same way you push your muscles, you have to push your mind to really develop that clarity of, okay, what would these areas of my life look like if they were just even way past what I might even think is possible, but what would that look like? And you can get there. Your brain can get you there the same way that Google Maps can get you there. Even if you put somewhere in China and you have to go on a bunch of flights, which you probably shouldn't do right now with the coronavirus. But it can get you there. Your mind is a lot like Google Maps in a lot of ways, but it does need that clarity.
I'm glad you kind of explain it that way. Very easy to understand. So it's like a roadmap.
Yeah.
You know, there is a roadmap, but you kind of have to redirect it. You have to kind of put the pinpoint where you want to go.
Yeah. So, it's hard to get there if you don't know where there is.
There is. That's true. Very true. So. So then what money means to you? I think you explained a little bit about it, but what does it mean to you? And how has it changed maybe what you thought of what money was before and what it is now to you, the meaning?
So money for me, I do get excited about money, but not maybe in the way that you might think. I don't worry that much about money. How I more think is, like Brian Tracy and Tony Robbins and these different people, they always say that the amount of money you make is an echo of the value you add to the marketplace. And so the more money that you're making, it means you're adding really massive value. And when you're adding massive value, you're gonna make more and more money. And so the way that I kind of approach business related things is, okay, I just have to figure out how to add way more value than anybody around me is doing by far for what I'm trying to do. And if I can do that, I'm going to make way more money than all of them.
Right.
And so now that doesn't mean that it's always going to happen right away. And I'm not saying that I have created that right away either. These things are difficult to create and they take time. But I think money for me is an echo of value. And so the more value that I'm adding, I feel very fulfilled about that. And so I know that the money will follow, but I don't really look at it as like the money first and then what do I need to do to get it. I more look at it like I know that money comes from value. So how do I add as much value as possible and the money always comes from that. And so that's kind of the way that I
love it. That's beautiful. Yeah. Very different, like smooth, like Mr. Smooth.
Mr. Smooth, suavemente, besame. Quiero sentir, okay.
Alright, Justin, habla español, mira nota, mira para allá.
Yo puedo ayudar en español también.
No, definitely, I love the way you explain money, because a lot of people, when I say money, or even in their perspective, like, oh, you know,
I want a lot
I don't know how to say it, like, or I want all of it, or
I want to be a zillionaire.
Right, and I think all those things are good, but I love how you said it. Money is, you know, an echo of value, like what you put value into. It's like the universe. That's it's a cycle, you know. It's what the universe. We're all, you know, we give and we receive. So what you give is this value, and as much value as you give, that's what you'll receive. So it'll just come, it'll flow. It's like a flow of it. So that's beautiful. I love it.
Thank you.
Do you think that changed your perspective on how you thought of money at the beginning and now, or it's always been like that? That's always been your perspective?
No, it was a perspective I had to learn from just listening to these different success teachers. And so it's honestly, I mean, it's
what was your mindset about it before then? Just curious.
I think my mindset before was that it was not as obtainable as I thought, especially in very high numbers. And I think now, because I understand that money's an echo of value, and to make massive amounts of it, you just have to outcompete everybody around you in your categories on value. That makes it actually seem very attainable, you know, because if, like for me, let's say with coaching or speaking, so what I would need to do, which I'm learning to do right now, because this is all very brand new to me, so I don't mean to be putting myself up higher than I am or anything like that, but, you know, just as an example of what I'm working on, I have to look at everybody and say, okay, what are these best people doing? What is the value that they're adding? What makes them valuable? And how can I do my best to supersede that, to go above that, to add more entertainment and more knowledge and more fun and more value and transformation and results than they are? And if I can consistently do that every day over time, I'm gonna be able to make a lot of money. But I'm not really motivated by money as an end goal in itself, and I don't really have like a certain exact amount. But what excites me is like, how much value can I add? You know, like, okay, so this person, like for example, if someone has a net worth of $20 million, so then in my mind I'm thinking, okay, well, Brian Tracy has a net worth of like $20 million, and Tony Robbins has a net worth of like $500 million, and Gary Vaynerchuk has a net worth of like $300 million. So it's like, okay, how could I more add value on the level of like Gary Vaynerchuk and Brian Tracy? And, you know, just put yourself to like, okay, I would need to add that amount of value every day over X amount of time to get to where they are. So how would I do that? And so I see it as kind of a fun and exciting challenge that can also be based in integrity and honesty and helping others. And that if I get really, really good at that, I can also enjoy the fun parts of being paid very well to do it, which, you know, hopefully, God willing, I can put things like that together in these new things that I'm trying to do. So.
Definitely, I love it. So money is echo of value, and I love that, you know, your explanation again about it. It's okay, senior competition. You know, I guess I kind of want to change that word. We got to find a word for that.
Nicer word.
Yes, I feel like competition is more like I like the way you said. I see others
your contemporaries.
Well, no, I don't like that way. I like the way you said it. I see people that are in the same industry, and that creates this value. We're going to find a word for that.
That's my competitive. First of all, though, everybody in business will have their competitive side.
Right,
so
no, but I love the way you said it, though. You said, you know, I see, like, you name the person, this is what they do, and I see their value they've input. So, like, what can I input as well? What can I learn? I didn't hear competition. I didn't even hear that word. I love it. So that means it's yes, I think that sometimes people stop themselves. Oh my goodness, like they're in that high level. I can't. Then you miss of what value you can bring in. So that was just beautiful. I love that.
Thank you.
And then we got to find a word for that.
Well, also patience though. Also patience. I want to say a quick note about patience, because I think this is a great entrepreneurial topic.
And very hard to do.
And very hard to do. So
I'm not a patient person.
guys, I think, and I this came up on other podcasts too, but it's just such an interesting topic. It's like, you know, social media, you know, and we all want, first you want the 1,000 followers and then like the 10,000 and you want to get to 1 million or whatever, which I don't have, but you know, we'll get there. But nobody seems to want to know how to get 1 follower or 2 followers or 10 followers. And it's the same way. It's just that these things are built over time. You know, when you see somebody with this incredible profile and like 8,000 likes, that was really this incredible thing that they built. You know, that took time to do that. So something that helps me a lot that maybe can help you guys too is I try to think of success kind of like a hockey stick, the curve of a hockey stick. So what I mean by that is, I think so many people don't get started because they put so much pressure on that beginning point that they just have to make it happen, and they do all this preparation, they expect so much greatness, and then they go for it, and then they fail, and they're like, oh my god, I guess I can't do it. But in the beginning there, you don't always see that much results right away. That doesn't mean you failed, it just means that success in the beginning doesn't just show up and blow up right away. But if you keep doing it and keep doing it and keep doing it, and then it kind of starts to increase, and it can start to go up quickly, but it does take some time. So for everybody that's, you know, already an entrepreneur or thinking about becoming one, I would say, you know, really be patient. Don't expect everything to just happen right away, and don't feel like if it doesn't that means you're a failure. Yeah, just as like, okay, you know, I don't have a lot of clients right now, or I don't have a lot of likes right now, or whatever it is you might be feeling. And don't look at it as that means I'm a failure. Look at it as this is a normal part of the beginning process of this journey of success that I'm on. And that really makes the journey a lot more doable if you expect yourself to be a YouTube superstar in 5 years instead of in 5 weeks. You know, it really takes off the pressure so that you can start taking action. And I think that's what most people struggle with, is just getting moving. You know? Nice.
Awesome. So the last thing is... Game. So what does the word game mean to you? Okay, so game means a lot of things for a lot of people. The game of life. Also the concept, and I always say this in my episodes, sometimes, you know, what we learn, what game is that you play the game and then there's game over in all the games that there are. I think the only one that every time I say about this, everybody speaks about Monopoly. It's amazing. And without me even saying, I'm like, what does game mean to you? Like, Monopoly. I'm like, that's great. So, like, Monopoly is really a never-ending game. So, what does game mean to you in a game of life, game of, I don't know. I think word game is so... bigger than what we think, just one concept, like, okay, we play this game. So what does it mean to you, and how has it been in your life? Your journey, your game.
Let me think for just a moment, because give me just a moment.
Okay.
What does game mean to me? I'm trying to you mean kind of like on a broad life sense, right?
No, I don't know. It's game is a word. So just like money, what does money mean to you? So what does game mean to you when you hear the word game? Describe your life journey with the word game.
Describe my life journey with the word
game. It's such a big word. You have to define it.
It's kind of a tricky question.
It is.
Because I'm like, it's like a little bit abstract.
Yeah,
like,
that's what it is. I love it. Yes.
I mean, I guess one of the ways that I could interpret it or take it is, I think that life is meant to be enjoyed, and I think life is a really incredible blessing. You know, I think that maybe a lot of times we don't get that excited about life because it was given. You know, we get really excited about a Rolex watch because we had to work for years and years and bought this $5,000, $10,000, $50,000, $150,000 watch, and we value it so much because it was so difficult to get.
So we don't appreciate the game that was given to us. So you're saying it's the game that was given to us, but we don't know how to play it.
Yeah, right? There's this game that was given to us. There's this beautiful thing that was given to us, but we kind of don't always value it that much because it's like we all have it.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, okay, well, it's like, of course I'm alive, you know?
Right.
So I think just rejoicing in the moment, just seeing like the beauty of the moment, and I'm just very grateful to be alive, and I want to enjoy life and do things that I'm passionate about, and I want to live life on my own terms. I don't necessarily see success as your net worth if you're not, if your life hasn't been structured the way that you want it structured. So I think game means maybe to laugh and enjoy it and be silly and have fun. Don't take yourself too seriously, you know, to drink deeply of life, you know, and just really
enjoy the game of life.
Really
enjoy
live it
your
all out,
journey.
you know. It's not,
Yes.
it doesn't need to be so like intense and stressful all the time. Live it like, wow, you know, thank you God that I'm alive, you know, and just whatever it is that you're passionate about, you know. Don't only do job, do maybe if you love to dance, or if you love a sport, or if there's a certain hobby, maybe, you know, spending more time with your husband or wife or boyfriend or girlfriend, or if you're single, to maybe go out more with your friends or meeting people, or, you know, to travel if you want to travel, to, you know, joke and be silly if you want to be silly. But
so you think you played a good game in your life?
I think so.
This beautiful game of life that's been given to you, played it pretty well, you've learned?
I think so, and I think that I try to live my life like, if I kind of mentioned this a little bit earlier, but if I was going to die at any moment, like if I was going to drop dead in 30 seconds, which God willing, I don't, but if something like that was going to be to happen to me, I would feel like, yeah, like I was living. Yeah, I was living how I wanted to, and I was going for it. I think that's really, really a blessing to be able to have that feeling, I guess.
It is. It is. It's most definitely beautiful. I think a lot of people miss that in their struggles or things that we go through, and we just stay stuck. We don't see that beauty of life, the beauty of game, you know, and I love it. I think game and everything you're telling me in Journey has been, you know, game seems bad, like, oh my God, a game, what do you mean a game? No, honestly, it's a beautiful word. The game of life, you gotta know if you played it well. Because honestly, what is game? When you play a game, you are the one in control, right? Nobody else is. No matter if we have 2-3 players, you are in control of what you play the game. So this beautiful game that has been given to us, which is life, we are in control. We take the directions, whether we fail, whether we do this, whether it was wrong, and the beauty of it. So whether we stumble, right? We make the wrong moves and we lose. You know, we think we lose, we don't. So I think your whole game of your life, it's beautiful. You know, you started, you learn, because you got to learn the instructions, right, of life, of like, okay, well, I didn't know what sales were, I didn't like that term, but you learned it, so you got to learn the instructions, right, the game. And then as you played it, you're like, I love this is beautiful, you know, I see life out of it, I see an unending, you know, limits. And then as you grew even more, you found more passion. You know, more passion and more skills, more talents. And then, you know, in that game of life, you found, you know, money. Money is something that it is life. You know, it's part of our life. You know, without money, we can't buy our clothes, we can't buy food, we can't buy anything. But you saw it in a term, and that game of life, you saw it in a different direction, not in like money is bad or I want all this money and that's all your focus. Is more like an echo of value. How can I bring more value? So that's more of that game, your journey. So I feel like that's a beautiful game. Beautiful game of life.
And I mean, you know what, to piggyback on that, which I agree with you, and I think it's kind of cool. I think I kind of stuttered, wait, what is gaming? I'm like, I don't know. Like, I guess I had to think about it, but but I guess now that I'm thinking about it more, hearing you talk about it, guys, games are learnable. That's another thing. Games are learnable. And all games have sets of rules that if you have to operate within them, but if you can operate within them effectively, you can do very well at that game. And so life is the same way. I think different types of businesses that you might start, or entrepreneurship, or sales, influence, persuasion, that whole world, they all have rules. They all are governed by rules. And I think a big part of success, and, you know, I'm still on my journey. I'm not saying that I've, you know, reached any type of epitome, but I think... That's
why it's never game over. So I know what we've been taught is game over. It's never. It's just, what's the next game? What's the next game?
But learning the rules, I mean, you know, if you're trying to play a game and you don't know the rules, you know, that becomes problematic, right? And so whatever it is, you know, for your listeners that you guys might want to do, that you might want to be successful at, whether career related or maybe something outside of career, I think it's super important to learn, okay, you know, what are the rules of this? For the people that are crushing it in whatever we want to crush it at, what are they doing?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I think learning those rules of that game, kind of the way that you're using that word, I like it. It's like, we have to know the game that we're operating in, or it's gonna be tough. Like if you start speaking Arabic or something, I'll be like, okay, you know, I don't know the rules, and we're not gonna be able to communicate. So everything has rules of its game, and I think we need to, you know, like money is part of the rule of the game of life. You know, if you know, money's not evil. I mean, if all you care about is money and screwing people over, that's like a little bit not good.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, it's a component of a successful life.
Mm-hmm.
So
awesome. Well, thank you so much. It was such a great and honor to have you. We had an amazing conversation.
Yeah.
I feel like the only thing we're missing, like a couple beers or wine.
Yeah, some Coronas.
Some Corona, the good one.
I don't know if it's too soon.
That good
too soon for Corona jokes. Hope we didn't offend any of our millions of listeners out there.
I've seen so many memes about it. It's so funny.
Yeah.
I think, you know.
Had like some toilet paper rolls up here, like
We're giving away paper rolls.
Yeah, we're giving. Comment below, like the winner receives like 30,000 rolls of toilet paper.
Hey, that'd
be a good prize.
That's gold.
Yeah, they get like a respirator or something.
Yes. Well, thank you again for being here. It was amazing, an honor to have you and explain to our listeners, you know, those 3 words, what it means. And honestly, those 3 simple words, they were so elaborate in how you explain, and we love your journey. I absolutely learned a lot from it, and I'm gonna listen to this again and what else I can take from it. And I think it's beautiful. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much for having
We're definitely gonna have him again in another episode, and a little bit more in depth, you know, like what you do. So
well, guys, thank you Gigi so much for having me on your show, and I think it's really cool what you're doing.
Thank
and
you.
I really you know, as you guys out there know that's watching, I mean, really starting anything, no matter how big or small it might seem, is scary, and you know, we can have a lot of doubts before we do it. So I think anybody that attempts anything that they want, this is the last thing I just want to leave us with.
What's
so
the last word?
The best definition of success I ever heard is from Jim Rohn. Jim Rohn was Tony Robbins' mentor.
Yes, he's awesome.
And so I think it was Jim Rohn that said this. It was that success is the progression of a worthy ideal. And I think what he means by that in normal people language is that if you're going for what you want, you're successful. You know, because either you get there or you don't because you died, but you were going there. Yeah. And so I think the only way we can really not be successful is to not go for it. And so that would just be like my remaining thing that I would leave for people.
Go for it.
Is that if you are going for what you want, you are successful. Yes. So carry yourself that way, that you are successful if you're going for it, because you are. And if you're not going for it yet, forgive yourself and be patient with yourself. Remember that success is kind of like the hockey stick curve, and it's going to take a lot of time in the beginning. Yeah. And just keep taking the action and keep developing the clarity, and be patient with your journey. It's okay. I'm on the journey too, and I'm starting new things too, and I need to be patient with my new things that I'm starting. So.
No, I love it. Awesome. Well, that was Justin for us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
And
thank
please follow his YouTube. You're very welcome.
Yep. JustAether TV. JustAether TV.
Yes, and thank you again, guys, for joining. Please share this with your friends, with family, because we never know what anybody's going through, and I think this would definitely be amazing for them to hear a story, you know, like Justin's, where it can impact somebody and kind of change their perspective. And if they need any further assistance in anything, you know, he's amazing. He could definitely give you a great advice. Thanks so guys. Again, love, money, and game. Love you guys.
We should have like dollar bills that we like throw in the air,
and remember,
like champagne bottles. At the end of next episode, you can
next episode we're gonna do that. Definitely. So remember, we are what? One energy, one tribe. We are entrepreneurs. Yes. Bye.
Bye.
That was awesome.